Have you ever wondered if a single moment of courage could change two lives forever? The marble floors of the Hartford mansion gleamed under the afternoon sun, streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked Central Park. Carmen Rodriguez moved quietly through the enormous living room, her cleaning cart making barely a sound against the expensive rugs. After 3 years working for the Hartford family, she had perfected the art of being invisible. That was the first rule of domestic work in Manhattan's Upper East Side: exist without being noticed. This is absolutely unacceptable. The voice of Marcus Hartford echoed from his home office, sharp enough to make Carmen flinch. She paused in the hallway, her hand tightening around the handle of her cart. It was Tuesday, which meant quarterly reports, which meant Marcus would be especially difficult. "I don't pay you to make excuses, Richardson. I pay you for results." The voice grew louder, angrier. "If you can't deliver what I need, there are 1,000 people in this city who can." Carmen had heard versions of this conversation dozens of times. Marcus Hartford, CEO of Hartford Industries, didn't just demand perfection. He required it, expected it, and destroyed anyone who failed to meet his impossibly high standards. At 37, he had built his late father's modest investment firm into a billion-dollar empire through sheer ruthlessness and an almost pathological dedication to excellence. He was also, as Carmen's coworker Elena liked to say, colder than the ice in his Scotch glass. Carmen continued down the hallway toward the kitchen, trying to put distance between herself and the ongoing tirade. She had exactly 45 minutes to finish the West Wing before she needed to pick up her daughter Sophia from elementary school. The after-school program only ran until 5, and the subway from the Upper East Side to Queens took nearly an hour. "Mama Carmen," Maria, the Hartford family's cook, waved from the kitchen. "Did you hear Mr. Marcus today? He fired Richardson. Just like that. 20 years with the company, gone." Carmen felt her stomach tighten. 20 years. That's terrible. That's Marcus Hartford. Maria shook her head, stirring something on the stove that smelled like rosemary and expensive wine. "You know what they say about him? Heart of stone, soul of ice, and a temper that could melt steel." "Has he always been like this?" Carmen asked, even though she knew she shouldn't engage in gossip. Maria lowered her voice. "His father was different. Theodore Hartford was tough but fair. But when he died 5 years ago and Marcus took over..." She made a gesture like an explosion. "The boy turned into a machine. Work, work, work. No friends, no relationships that last more than a month, no warmth, just business and more business." Carmen nodded politely and excused herself. She didn't like thinking about Marcus Hartford more than necessary. To her, he was simply her employer, distant, demanding, and dangerous to cross. She was vacuuming the library when her phone buzzed. Her heart sank when she saw the school's number. "Hello? Ms. Rodriguez? This is Principal Morrison from PS 116. I'm calling about Sophia." Carmen's grip tightened on the phone. "Is she okay? Is she hurt?" "She's fine physically, but she's had an incident with another student. We need you to come pick her up. There's going to be a 1-day suspension." A suspension. Carmen felt the world tilt. "I'll be there as soon as I can." "Ms. Rodriguez, I know this is difficult, but I understand. Thank you." Carmen hung up and stood there, her mind racing. A suspension meant Sophia couldn't be at school tomorrow. The after-school program wouldn't take her. Mrs. Chen, their elderly neighbor who sometimes watched Sophia, was visiting her daughter in California. There was no one else. Carmen looked at her watch. If she left now, she could catch the express train and make it to school in 40 minutes. But she still had half the mansion to clean, and Marcus had specifically requested that the entire house be spotless before he hosted dinner guests tomorrow night. She made a decision. Taking a deep breath, Carmen walked toward Marcus's office. She knocked softly on the heavy oak door. "What?" The response was sharp, annoyed. Carmen opened the door. Marcus sat behind his massive desk, his jaw tight, his blue eyes cold as winter sky. He looked every inch the powerful executive in his perfectly tailored navy suit, his dark hair just slightly disheveled from running his hands through it, the only sign that he was human enough to feel frustration. "Mr. Hartford, I'm very sorry to interrupt." "Then don't." Carmen swallowed. "Sir, I received a call from my daughter's school. There's been an incident and I need to pick her up. I will finish all the cleaning tonight, I promise. I can come back after—" "You have a daughter?" Marcus looked up, and for a moment, something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or confusion. "Yes, sir. Sophia. She's 9 years old." "I didn't know that." Of course he didn't. In 3 years, Marcus Hartford had never asked Carmen a single personal question. She doubted he even knew her last name. "I'll make up the time," Carmen continued. "I can work this weekend. No extra charge." "How long have you worked here?" The question caught her off guard. 3 years, Mr. Hartford." He leaned back in his chair, studying her with those penetrating blue eyes. 3 years, and I never knew you had a daughter." He said it more to himself than to her. Then crisply, "Go, get your daughter. We'll discuss the rest tomorrow." "Thank you, Mr. Hartford. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, Ms." He paused. "Rodriguez. Carmen Rodriguez." "Tomorrow, Ms. Rodriguez." He turned back to his computer, the conversation over. Carmen practically ran from the office. She grabbed her coat and bag, barely remembering to sign out, and rushed to the subway. The whole train ride, her mind was spinning. What had Sophia done? Her daughter was usually so well-behaved, so careful not to cause problems. When Carmen arrived at the school, she found Sophia sitting outside the principal's office, her small frame hunched over, dark hair hiding her face. The moment Sophia saw her mother, she burst into tears. "Mama, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Carmen knelt down and pulled her daughter into her arms. "Shh, mi amor. It's okay. Tell me what happened." Principal Morrison invited them into her office. The story came out in pieces. Tommy Henderson, the biggest boy in 4th grade, had been bullying a smaller child. When the teacher wasn't looking, he'd pushed the boy hard enough to make him fall. Sophia had intervened, pushing Tommy back and telling him to leave the smaller boy alone. Tommy had called Sophia names, terrible names that made Carmen's blood boil, and Sophia had punched him in the nose. "I know I shouldn't have hit him, Mama," Sophia said through tears. "But he said that you were just a cleaning lady, that we were poor and didn't matter, and that I should know my place." Her little hands clenched into fists. "He said mean things about you, and I got so angry." Carmen felt her heart break and swell at the same time, her brave, fierce little girl defending her mother's honor. "Ms. Rodriguez," Principal Morrison said gently, "I understand Sophia's anger, but violence cannot be tolerated. However, Tommy Henderson will be suspended for 3 days for bullying and using discriminatory language. Sophia's suspension is only 1 day because she was defending another student, even if she chose the wrong method." Carmen nodded, pulling Sophia closer. "I understand. Thank you for being fair." On the subway ride home, Sophia leaned against her mother's shoulder. "Are you mad at me?" "No, mi corazon. I'm sad that you had to experience that, but I'm not mad." Carmen kissed the top of her daughter's head. "But you can't hit people, even when they say terrible things." "But Mama, he said you don't matter. You matter more than anyone in the whole world." Carmen felt tears prick her eyes. This beautiful, brave child. How had she gotten so lucky? But practical concerns pushed through the emotion. Tomorrow, Sophia couldn't go to school. Carmen couldn't afford to miss a full day of work, not when money was already so tight. And she had no one to watch Sophia. That night, as Sophia slept in their small 1-bedroom apartment in Queens, Carmen sat at their tiny kitchen table, trying to solve an impossible equation. She could call in sick, but Marcus Hartford didn't tolerate sick days unless you were hospitalized. She could try to find a last-minute babysitter, but that would cost money she didn't have. Or, the thought was crazy, impossible, but it was the only option she had. The next morning, Carmen packed snacks, Sophia's homework, and her iPad with headphones into a backpack. "You're going to come with me to work today," she told her daughter. "But you have to promise to be absolutely silent and invisible. Do you understand?" Sophia's eyes went wide. "To the mansion?" "Yes. Mr. Hartford can't know you're there. If he finds out, Mama could lose her job. Can you do this? Can you stay hidden and quiet?" Sophia nodded solemnly. "I promise, Mama. I'll be like a mouse." The morning started well. Carmen arrived at the mansion early, before Marcus's usual 7 o'clock start. She settled Sophia in the large linen closet on the 3rd floor, which was rarely used, and had enough space for a 9-year-old to sit comfortably with her iPad and books. "Remember," Carmen whispered, "absolutely silent. I'll check on you every hour. If you need to use the bathroom, text me and I'll come get you. I promise, Mama." Carmen closed the closet door and got to work, her heart pounding. She could do this. It was just one day. Tomorrow, everything would be back to normal. She should have known better. At 10:30, while Carmen was cleaning the 2nd-floor guest bathroom, she heard it. Marcus's voice, tight with anger, echoing from his office. And then, impossibly, another voice responding, higher, younger, defiant. Sophia's voice. Carmen's blood turned to ice. She dropped her cleaning supplies and ran. She reached Marcus's office to find a scene that would replay in her nightmares. Sophia standing in the middle of the room, all 4 feet of her, facing down Marcus Hartford. The tech billionaire stood behind his desk, his face a mask of shock and fury. Papers were scattered across the floor where Sophia had apparently knocked them off his desk. "You're mean," Sophia was saying, her voice shaking but determined. "You're so mean to everyone, but especially to my mama. I hear her sometimes, crying after work because of the things you say." "Sophia!" Carmen rushed forward, grabbing her daughter. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Hartford. I'm so sorry." "She wasn't supposed to. I didn't mean—" "You brought a child into my home?" Marcus's voice was dangerously quiet. "Without permission? Without even informing me?" "Sir, please. Her school suspended her and I had no one to watch her. I know it was wrong, but I couldn't miss work and I thought—" "You thought you could hide a child in my house?" Marcus's face was turning red. "Do you have any idea how inappropriate this is? How many violations of your employment contract this represents?" "Please," Carmen begged, tears streaming down her face. "Please don't fire me. I need this job. Sophia needs—" "I don't care what you need." Marcus slammed his hand on the desk. "You lied to me. You brought an unauthorized person into my private residence. You— Don't talk to my mama like that." The room went completely silent. Sophia had pulled away from Carmen and was standing between her mother and Marcus, her small hands balled into fists, her chin raised in defiance. "You're a mean man," Sophia said, her voice clear and strong. "My mama works so hard for you. She wakes up at 5 in the morning. She comes home so late that sometimes I'm already asleep. She skips lunch to save money. She cleans your big house until her hands hurt and her back aches, and you don't even know her name." "Sophia, please." Carmen tried to pull her daughter back, but Sophia shook her off. "And you yell at everyone. I heard you yesterday, firing that man who worked for you for 20 years. 20 years. And you just threw him away like garbage. Do you even care about people? Do you care about anything except money?" Marcus stood frozen, his mouth slightly open, staring at this tiny girl who dared to say what no one else would. "My mama says I shouldn't talk back to adults," Sophia continued. And I'm going to be in so much trouble for this. But somebody needs to tell you the truth. You're rich and powerful, and you live in this giant house, but you're not happy. You're lonely. And you make everyone around you feel small and scared. That's not how bosses should be. That's not how people should be. The silence that followed was deafening. Carmen couldn't breathe. She waited for the explosion, for Marcus to call security, to throw them both out, to ensure that Carmen never worked in Manhattan again. Instead, something impossible happened. Marcus Hartford sat down. He actually sat down in his chair, his face pale. And for a long moment, he just stared at Sophia. Then, in a voice Carmen had never heard before, quiet, almost broken, he said, "You're right." Carmen blinked. "Mr. Hartford, you're absolutely right." Marcus looked at Sophia, then at Carmen, then down at his hands. "I fired Richardson yesterday. 23 years with the company, and I fired him because his quarterly report didn't meet my standards. Standards that are..." He paused. "Impossible. I know they're impossible. I make them impossible on purpose because if people meet them, then they're not high enough." He ran a hand through his hair, and Carmen saw that it was shaking slightly. "I don't know your name. Your daughter is right about that too. 3 years you've worked here, and I don't know your birthday, where you're from, what you like to do on weekends. I don't know if you have family, friends, dreams." He looked up at Carmen, and there was something raw in his eyes. "I don't know anything about you except that you clean my house and you're always here when I need you." Sophia, uncertain now, stepped closer to her mother. Carmen wrapped an arm around her daughter, not sure what to do or say. "When my father died," Marcus continued, speaking more to himself than to them, "everyone told me I had to be hard, ruthless, that the business world would eat me alive if I showed any weakness. So I became..." He gestured vaguely. "This. I became this person who treats people like assets, like numbers on a spreadsheet. And somewhere along the way, I forgot that they're human beings with lives and families and daughters who will stand up to billionaires to defend them." He stood up slowly and walked around his desk. Carmen instinctively pulled Sophia closer, but Marcus stopped several feet away, maintaining a respectful distance. "Ms. Rodriguez. Carmen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for every harsh word, every unreasonable demand, every moment I made you feel less than the remarkable person you clearly are. And I'm sorry that it took your incredibly brave daughter to make me see what I've become." Carmen couldn't speak. In 3 years, Marcus Hartford had never apologized to anyone, for anything. The shock of hearing those words from his mouth left her speechless. "You're not fired," Marcus said firmly, "and tomorrow you won't come back as my housekeeper. You'll come back as my house manager, with a 40% raise and full benefits including health insurance. And if Sophia ever needs to be here because school is closed or she's sick, she's welcome. This house has 12 bedrooms. She can use any one of them. Mr. Hartford, I don't know what to say. Say you'll forgive me." He looked at Sophia. "Both of you. And maybe teach me how to be better. Because your daughter is right. I'm lonely and I'm not happy and I've forgotten how to be human." Sophia studied him with her serious dark eyes. Then, with the brutal honesty of childhood, she asked, "Are you going to actually change, or are you just saying that because you feel bad right now?" Marcus actually smiled. A small, sad smile, but genuine. "That's a fair question. I guess you'll have to stick around and keep me honest." "Okay," Sophia agreed. "But you have to promise not to yell at people anymore, and you have to learn everyone's names, and you have to let people have lunch breaks. Deal?" Marcus extended his hand. After a moment, Sophia shook it, her small hand disappearing in his large one. Carmen watched this exchange in stunned disbelief. This couldn't be real. Marcus Hartford didn't change. He didn't apologize. He certainly didn't make deals with 9-year-old children. But here he was, looking more human than she'd ever seen him, promising to be better. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said to Sophia. "Okay." "Why did you come to my office? Your mother had hidden you well. You could have stayed quiet and safe." Sophia looked down at her shoes. "I heard you yelling. I was scared you were yelling at Mama. So I came to protect her." She glanced up. "That's what family does. They protect each other." Something crossed Marcus's face. Pain, longing, regret. "Yes," he said softly. "That's what family does." The dynamic in the Hartford mansion shifted so completely over the next few weeks that the other staff members thought they were living in an alternate reality. Marcus started learning names. He asked Maria about her grandchildren. He thanked the gardening crew. He stopped having screaming phone calls, and he talked to Carmen. It started small. "Good morning, Carmen. Did Sophia enjoy the book I left for her?" Then it grew. He'd ask about Sophia's school, Carmen's family back in Puerto Rico, her favorite foods. He started appearing in the kitchen during staff lunch breaks, awkwardly attempting small talk. "He's like a robot learning to be human," Elena whispered to Carmen one day. "It's adorable and terrifying at the same time." But Carmen noticed something else. The way Marcus's eyes lingered on her when he thought she wasn't looking. The way he'd find excuses to be wherever she was working. The way his voice softened when he spoke to her. And she noticed her own traitorous heart beating faster when he entered a room. 2 months after the incident, Marcus invited Carmen and Sophia to have dinner with him. "Not as employee and employer," he clarified quickly. "As friends, if that's okay." They sat in the enormous dining room, Maria's incredible cooking spread before them, and for the first time, the space felt less like a mansion and more like a home. "Tell me about Puerto Rico," Marcus said to Carmen. "You mentioned you grew up in San Juan." And Carmen found herself talking, really talking, about her childhood, her parents who had passed away, her journey to New York chasing the American dream. Sophia chimed in with stories about school, and Marcus listened with genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at Sophia's jokes. After dinner, Sophia insisted on showing Marcus her latest art project. While they were in the other room, Maria cornered Carmen in the kitchen. "That man is in love with you," she said bluntly. Carmen nearly dropped the dish she was drying. "What?" "No. We're just... Carmen, mija, I'm 73 years old. I know what love looks like. And that man looks at you like you're the sun and he's been living in darkness his whole life. That's ridiculous. He's a billionaire. I'm his housekeeper, house manager." She corrected herself. "And you think love cares about money?" Maria shook her head. "The question is, how do you feel about him?" Carmen opened her mouth to deny it, but couldn't. Because the truth was, she'd started to care. She'd seen the man Marcus was trying to become, patient with Sophia, kind to the staff, actually taking weekends off to rest. She'd seen him laugh, really laugh, at one of Sophia's silly jokes. She'd watched him struggle to be better and succeed, day by day. "It doesn't matter how I feel," Carmen finally said. "Our worlds are too different." "Maybe," Maria conceded. "Or maybe that's exactly what makes it work." The turning point came 3 months later, on a Thursday night. Carmen was leaving late after a dinner party Marcus had hosted for business associates. She was exhausted, her feet aching from hours of managing the event. Marcus appeared in the kitchen as she was gathering her things. "Let me drive you home." "Mr. Hartford, that's not necessary." "Marcus. Please call me Marcus. And it is necessary. It's after midnight, and you shouldn't be taking the subway alone." Too tired to argue, Carmen accepted. Marcus's driver pulled up in a sleek black car, and they rode in comfortable silence through the Manhattan streets and across the bridge to Queens. When they arrived at Carmen's apartment building, Marcus looked out at the worn facade, the broken streetlight, the graffiti on the corner. You live here." There was no judgment in his voice, only concern. "It's affordable," Carmen said defensively. "I didn't mean—" Marcus stopped himself. "I'm sorry. That came out wrong. Is it safe?" "Safe enough." Carmen reached for the door handle, but Marcus's voice stopped her. "Wait, there's something I need to say." Carmen's heart started pounding. "What is it?" Marcus turned to face her, his blue eyes intense in the dim light. "These past 3 months have been transformative, and it's because of you. You and Sophia, you've shown me what was missing from my life. Not just kindness or empathy, but connection. Real human connection. Marcus, please, let me finish." He took a breath. "I know this is complicated. I know there's a massive power imbalance. I'm your employer. I'm wealthy, and you're poor," Carmen supplied, a hint of bitterness in her voice. "I was going to say, wise beyond anything money could buy." Marcus's voice was gentle. "Carmen, I'm falling in love with you. Maybe I already have. And I need you to know that if you don't feel the same way, nothing changes. Your job is secure. Sophia is always welcome. Our friendship remains. But if there's any chance you might feel something too, I want to explore it. Carefully, respectfully, at your pace." Carmen stared at him, her mind reeling. Marcus Hartford, cold, ruthless Marcus Hartford, was confessing his feelings to her like a nervous teenager. "I have a daughter," she said finally. "She has to come first. Always. I would never ask for anything different. I'm not sophisticated. I don't know about wine or art or yacht parties. I don't care about any of that. People will talk. They'll say terrible things about me, about why we're together. Then they're idiots, and we'll prove them wrong." Carmen looked at this man who had changed so much, who was looking at her with such naked hope and vulnerability. "Why me?" "Because you're real," Marcus said simply. "In a world full of people who want something from me, you and Sophia are the only ones who see me as just a person. Because you're strong and brave, and you raised an incredible daughter. Because you make me want to be better." He paused. "Because when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to be human." The silence stretched between them, full of possibility and fear. Finally, Carmen said, "I care about you too. More than I should, probably. But I'm scared. I'm terrified," Marcus admitted with a small laugh. "I've negotiated billion-dollar deals without breaking a sweat, but asking you on a proper date makes my hands shake." Carmen smiled despite herself. "A proper date. Dinner, a movie, whatever you want. Just the two of us. Getting to know each other as Marcus and Carmen, not employer and employee. What about Sophia? What about Sophia?" Marcus looked confused. "Marcus, I can't just leave her. I don't have family here to watch her, and babysitters are expensive." "Then she comes with us," Marcus said as if it were obvious. "Carmen, I'm not just interested in you. I'm interested in your life. And Sophia is the most important part of that. If you give me a chance, I'm asking for a chance with both of you." And that's when Carmen knew this was real. Because any man could romance a woman, but it took someone special to embrace her child as part of the package from the very beginning. "Okay," she whispered. "Yes, let's try." The smile that broke across Marcus's face was like sunrise. "Really? Really? But slow, Marcus. We go slow. As slow as you need." He reached out and gently took her hand. "Thank you. Thank you for taking a chance on me." Their first official date was to the Bronx Zoo with Sophia, who served as both chaperone and enthusiastic tour guide. Marcus, who had probably never been to the zoo in his life, let Sophia drag him from exhibit to exhibit, buying her overpriced stuffed animals and cotton candy without hesitation. "You're spoiling her," Carmen protested as Marcus purchased a third stuffed penguin. I have 37 years of not spoiling anyone to make up for, Marcus replied, handing the penguin to a delighted Sophia. The second date was dinner at a small Puerto Rican restaurant in Spanish Harlem, Carmen's choice. Marcus gamely tackled mofongo and tossed stones while Carmen tried not to laugh at his shocked expression when he bit into a particularly spicy pepper. You did that on purpose, he accused. Maybe, Carmen admitted with a grin. You needed a little humbling. The third date was just the two of them, a late-night walk through Central Park after Sophia was safely asleep at her friend Emma's house. They talked for hours, sharing histories and hopes, learning each other's rhythms. Tell me about your father, Carmen said as they sat on a bench overlooking the lake. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He was a good man, patient where I'm impatient, kind where I'm cold. He built the business with integrity, treated everyone with respect. When he died, I thought I had to be different to succeed, harder, more ruthless. I thought his kindness was a weakness I couldn't afford. But it wasn't weakness. No. Marcus shook his head. It was his greatest strength. And it took a 9-year-old girl calling me out to realize I'd dishonored his memory by becoming everything he wasn't. Carmen took his hand. He'd be proud of you now. The man you're becoming. I hope so. Marcus looked at their intertwined fingers. I'm still figuring this out, Carmen. Sometimes I slip back into old patterns. I get impatient or demanding. We all have bad days. But I don't want to be that person with you, or Sophia, or anyone. Then don't be, Carmen said simply. Just be Marcus. Not the CEO, not the billionaire. Just Marcus. Just Marcus. He smiled. I like the sound of that. They kissed for the first time under the stars, soft and sweet and full of promise. The next morning, Sophia noticed immediately. Mama, you're smiling funny. I'm just happy, mi amor. Is it because of Marcus? Carmen hesitated. She and Marcus had agreed to take things slowly, especially where Sophia was concerned. How would you feel if Marcus and I were more than friends? Sophia considered this seriously. Would he be my dad? I don't know yet, baby. We're just starting. But if we keep seeing each other, he'd be an important part of our lives. Would we have to move to the big house? No, nothing changes unless you want it to. Sophia nodded slowly. I like Marcus. He's nice now. And he makes you happy. She paused. Just don't let him be mean again, okay? I won't, Carmen promised. But Sophia had one more question. Does this mean I can have a room in the mansion? Carmen laughed and pulled her daughter into a hug. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The relationship progressed slowly, carefully, with Sophia's well-being as the constant priority. Marcus was patient, never pushing, always checking in. He showed up for Sophia's school play, learned to help with her homework, came to parent-teacher conferences. Mr. Hartford, the teacher said at one such conference, I have to say, Sophia has really flourished this semester. Her confidence has grown so much. That's all her mother, Marcus said, squeezing Carmen's hand. Carmen's the remarkable one. But the real world intruded, as it always does. The gossip started when someone spotted Marcus and Carmen together at a restaurant. Page 6 ran a headline. Hartford airs mysterious new romance. The article speculated wildly about Carmen's identity, calling her a mystery woman and hinting at a scandalous secret relationship. When the truth came out, that Carmen had been Marcus's housekeeper, the media went into a frenzy. Suddenly, photographers were camped outside Carmen's apartment building. Reporters called her phone constantly. Sophia was followed to school. Gold digger, the tabloids called Carmen. Opportunist. Social climber. One particularly vicious article suggested that Carmen had deliberately orchestrated the entire situation, using her daughter to manipulate Marcus into a relationship. Carmen read that article while sitting in Marcus's study, and for the first time since this all began, she broke down crying. Marcus found her there, her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. "Carmen, what happened?" She handed him the tablet, unable to speak. Marcus read the article, his face growing darker with each word. "This is trash," he said, throwing the tablet aside. He knelt in front of Carmen, taking her hands. "You know it's trash, right? But what if you start to believe it?" Carmen's voice broke. "What if you wake up one day and wonder if they're right? If I did manipulate you? Carmen, look at me." Marcus waited until she met his eyes. "I know who you are. A woman who hid her daughter in a closet because she couldn't afford to miss work. A woman who sacrificed everything to give that daughter a better life. A woman who tried to refuse my help at every turn because she has too much pride to be a burden. But the things they're saying are lies told by people who can't imagine that someone might love you for who you are, not what they can get from you." Marcus wiped her tears with his thumbs. "I love you, Carmen. Not because you're convenient or useful, or because you manipulated me. I love you because you're brave and kind and you make me better. I love you because your daughter saw through all my defenses and called me out on my nonsense. I love you because when I'm with you, I'm not Hartford Industries or $1 billion net worth. I'm just a man who's lucky enough to be loved by an extraordinary woman." "You love me," Carmen whispered. It was the first time he'd said it so plainly. "I love you," Marcus confirmed. "I have for weeks. I was just scared to say it and scare you away. I love you too." The words felt like freedom. "I've been so afraid to admit it because we're so different, and everyone keeps saying it won't work, and none of that matters." Marcus pulled her into his arms. "Let them talk. Let them write their nasty articles. We know the truth." But it did matter. The harassment got worse. Someone from a competing business firm dug up Carmen's employment records and leaked them, highlighting every time she'd been late or called in sick. Another tabloid ran a piece questioning whether Sophia was really Marcus's daughter, complete with timeline speculation. Sophia started having nightmares. She didn't want to go to school because the other kids teased her, calling her mother names they'd heard from their parents reading tabloids. One night, after putting a particularly upset Sophia to bed, Carmen told Marcus, "Maybe this isn't worth it." They were in his living room, the city sparkling below them. Marcus went very still. "What do you mean?" "This." Carmen gestured vaguely. "Us. The scrutiny is hurting Sophia. The media is destroying my reputation. Your business partners are questioning your judgment. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe our worlds are too different. No." Marcus's voice was firm. "Don't let them win. That's exactly what they want." "I'm not thinking about them, Marcus. I'm thinking about my daughter. She's 9 years old, and she's being called names because her mother dared to date you. So we protect her. We get her into a different school, somewhere private where the other kids don't care about tabloid gossip. I can't afford private school. I can. And there it is." Carmen stood up. "You keep wanting to fix everything with money, but some things can't be fixed that way. Sophia needs normalcy, not to be thrown into some elite private school where she'll be the poor kid." "Carmen, I'm not trying to... I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make this work because you want it to work. But wanting something doesn't make it possible." Carmen felt tears sliding down her face again. "I think we need to take a break. Just stop for a while. Let the media attention die down. Let Sophia have her normal life back. You're breaking up with me. I'm protecting my daughter. By running away?" Marcus stood too, his voice rising. "By giving up the first real thing either of us has had in years?" "Don't yell at me," Carmen said quietly. Marcus immediately stopped, closing his eyes, taking a breath. When he opened them again, they were full of pain. "I'm sorry," You're right. I'm sorry. I'm not. I don't know how to do this. I've never cared about someone so much that the thought of losing them makes me... He broke off, running his hands through his hair. Please don't give up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm stepping back so we can both think clearly. How long? I don't know. Carmen, please, Marcus, just give me time. He wanted to argue. She could see it in every line of his body. The instinct to fight, to fix, to solve. But instead he nodded. Okay, time. But Carmen? He waited until she looked at him. I'm not giving up. Take all the time you need, but I'm not walking away from this. From you, from Sophia. I'll wait as long as it takes. Carmen left that night with her heart in pieces. The next 2 weeks were the longest of Carmen's life. She returned to her normal schedule. House manager by day, mother by night. She and Marcus maintained a professional relationship at work, polite and distant. The media attention did die down, as Carmen had hoped. Without new developments to report, the tabloids moved on to other scandals. Sophia's nightmares stopped. The teasing at school faded. Life returned to normal. Except Carmen was miserable. She missed Marcus constantly. She missed his laugh, his awkward attempts at humor, the way he listened to Sophia's rambling stories with genuine interest. She missed how safe she felt with him, how he looked at her like she was precious, how he'd changed his entire life to be worthy of her. Mama, why don't we see Marcus anymore? Sophia asked one evening. We needed some space, mi amor. But you're sad all the time now. Sophia's dark eyes were too knowing for a 9-year-old. And Marcus is sad too. Maria told me he doesn't smile anymore. Sometimes grown-ups need time apart to figure things out. Did you figure it out? Carmen looked at her daughter, this wise, brave little girl who had started everything by standing up to a bully. I don't know yet. Do you love him? Sophia. Do you? Sophia insisted. Yes, Carmen admitted. I do. And he loves you, and he loves me. So what is there to figure out? Sophia's logic was simple, childlike, and absolutely correct. It's complicated. No, it's not. Sophia crossed her arms in a gesture so similar to her confrontation with Marcus months ago that Carmen almost laughed. You're scared because people said mean things. But people will always say mean things, Mama. You told me that. You said that Tommy Henderson saying mean things didn't change who we really are. Carmen stared at her daughter, stunned. When did you get so wise? I have a good teacher. Sophia hugged her mother. I miss Marcus, Mama. And I think you do too. So maybe we should stop being scared and go get him back. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Carmen made a decision. She picked up her phone and called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. Carmen? Hi. Suddenly, she didn't know what to say. Can we talk? Of course. When? Where? Are you at the mansion? Yes. I'll be there in an hour. Carmen arranged for Mrs. Chen to watch Sophia and took the subway to Manhattan. Her heart pounded the entire way. What if Marcus had changed his mind? What if 2 weeks apart had made him realize this was too complicated? But when she arrived at the mansion, Marcus was waiting at the door, and the look on his face, hope and fear and love all mixed together, told her everything she needed to know. They walked to his study without speaking. Once the door was closed, Marcus said, I've missed you. I've missed you too. Carmen took a breath. Marcus, I'm sorry. I was scared, and I let that fear drive us apart. But Sophia reminded me of something tonight, that running away from hard things doesn't make them easier. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you, and I want to try again. For real this time. No running away when things get difficult. Carmen moved closer to him. But I need you to understand something. Sophia comes first. Always. If we do this, we do it as a family, or we don't do it at all. I wouldn't want it any other way. Marcus closed the distance between them. Carmen, I don't just want you. I want all of you. Your morning chaos, your fierce protection of your daughter, your stubborn pride, everything. And I want to be part of Sophia's life, not as a replacement for her father, but as someone who loves her mother and wants to see her grow into the amazing woman she's going to be. The media will come back. Let them. This time we face them together. Your business associates will judge you. Then I need better business associates. I'm never going to fit into your world, Marcus. I don't know how to be a society girlfriend. Then we'll change what my world looks like. Marcus took her hands. Carmen, you've already changed me. Let's change everything else too. What do you mean? I mean, let's start a foundation to help single parents access childcare and education. Let's use my resources to actually help people, instead of just accumulating more wealth. Let's show everyone that love doesn't have to look a certain way, or follow society's rules. He smiled. Let's prove that a billionaire and a house manager can build something real and beautiful and lasting. Carmen felt tears sliding down her face, but this time they were happy tears. You've really thought about this. I've had 2 weeks of misery to think about it. Marcus wiped her tears. I love you, Carmen Rodriguez. And if you'll give me another chance, I promise to spend every day earning that love and showing you and Sophia that you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Yes, Carmen whispered. Yes, I'll give you another chance. I'll give us another chance. When they kissed, it felt like coming home. 6 months later, Marcus Hartford stood in his study with Claudio Chen, his best friend and business partner, looking at architectural plans spread across his desk. You're seriously going to do this? Claudio asked. I'm seriously going to do this. Marcus pointed to the plans. This wing will be converted into a community center. Free childcare, after-school programs, job training, the whole 9 yards. And you're going to live in the other half of the mansion? We don't need all this space. Marcus shrugged. Carmen and Sophia should have nice things, but opening our home to help other families, that feels right. Your father would be proud, Claudio said quietly. That's what Carmen said. Marcus smiled. She has a way of knowing exactly what I need to hear. So when are you going to ask her? Marcus pulled a small velvet box from his desk drawer. Inside was a simple but elegant diamond ring. This weekend. I've got the whole thing planned. Her favorite restaurant, Sophia's blessing, the works. You asked Sophia. Last week. She said yes, but only if she gets to be the flower girl and help pick out the cake. Claudio laughed. That kid's got you wrapped around her little finger. Completely, Marcus agreed without shame. She's incredible. They both are. The proposal went perfectly. Marcus arranged for a private dinner at the Puerto Rican restaurant where they'd had their second date. Sophia was in on the plan, barely able to contain her excitement. When Marcus got down on one knee after dessert, the entire restaurant erupted in applause. Carmen Rodriguez, you and your daughter changed my life. You showed me what really matters. You taught me how to be human again. Would you do me the incredible honor of marrying me? Yes, Carmen said, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes, of course, yes. Sophia jumped up from her chair. Does this mean I get to call you Dad? Marcus looked at the 9-year-old who had started everything, who had been brave enough to tell a billionaire the truth, who had given him the greatest gift, her mother's love. If you want to, he said, his voice rough with emotion. I want to. Sophia threw herself into his arms. Dad. Marcus held both of them, his new fiancée and his soon-to-be daughter, and felt complete in a way he'd never imagined possible. The wedding was small and intimate, held in the mansion's garden with only close friends and family. Sophia was indeed the flower girl, wearing a dress she'd helped pick out herself. Marcus's business associates showed up alongside Carmen's neighbors from Queens. Maria made the cake, tres leches, Carmen's favorite. As they exchanged vows, with Sophia standing between them as their maid of honor, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. From cold, ruthless CEO to this man who could stand in front of his friends and family and say without shame, "I was lost until you found me. I was broken until you and Sophia showed me how to heal. I promise to spend every day being the man you deserve, the father Sophia needs, and the partner who honors the strength it took for you to give me a chance." Carmen's vows were simpler, but no less powerful. "You gave us safety when we needed it, love when we didn't expect it, and a future we'd never dared to dream of. I promise to keep challenging you, keep you humble, and love you fiercely for all our days." When they kissed as husband and wife, Sophia whooped so loudly that everyone laughed. The reception was less a formal affair and more a celebration. Dancing, laughter, joy. At one point, Carmen found herself watching Marcus dance with Sophia, teaching her a complicated step, both of them laughing when Sophia stepped on his feet. "That's your family," Maria said, appearing beside Carmen with 2 glasses of champagne. "Yes," Carmen agreed, accepting a glass. "That's my family. You know what I think?" Maria clinked her glass against Carmen's. "I think that little girl pulling that mean man's tie was the universe course correcting. Sometimes it takes a child to show adults what really matters." "Sometimes it takes a very brave child," Carmen corrected. She learned that from her mother. As the party continued, Marcus caught Carmen's eye across the room. He mouthed, "I love you," and she mouthed it back. Later that night, after the guests had left and Sophia was asleep in her new bedroom, she'd chosen the one with the best view of Central Park, Marcus and Carmen stood on the balcony of their room, looking out at the city. "Do you ever think about that day?" Marcus asked, pulling Carmen close. "When Sophia burst into my office?" "Every day." Carmen leaned into his embrace. "I thought it was the end of everything. Turns out it was the beginning. She saved me, you know." Marcus's voice was quiet. "I was so lost, so caught up in being successful that I'd forgotten how to live. Then this tiny, fierce girl looked me in the eye and told me I was mean, and it was like..." He paused, searching for words, like waking up from a nightmare. "She's pretty special. She gets it from her mother." Marcus kissed the top of Carmen's head. "Thank you." "For what?" "For taking a chance on me. For seeing past the guy I was to the person I could become. For letting me into your life, into Sophia's life. For everything." "Thank you for becoming someone worth taking a chance on," Carmen countered. "The growth you've done, the changes you've made. That's all you, Marcus. You did the hard work." "I had good motivation." He turned her to face him. "You and Sophia are my home now. Not this mansion, not my company, not my money. You two are what matters." That's what Sophia taught me that day. That people are what matter, not things. They stood there in comfortable silence, wrapped in each other's arms until Carmen said, "She wants a brother." Marcus blinked. "What?" "Sophia. She told me at the reception that she wants a little brother." Carmen looked up at him with a small smile. "What do you think about that?" "I think..." Marcus felt his heart expand. "I think I'd love to give her one, or a sister, or both, whatever you want." "What I want," Carmen said, pulling him down for a kiss, "is this life we're building, this family we're creating, you, me, Sophia, and whoever else comes along." Sounds perfect. And it was. 3 years later, Sophia stood in front of her middle school class for a presentation on Someone Who Changed Your Life. My person is my dad, she began, and Marcus, sitting in the back of the room with Carmen and their 18-month-old son James, felt his throat tighten. When I first met my dad, he was really mean, Sophia continued, and several kids giggled. I mean it. He yelled at people all the time. He was cold and didn't care about anyone. But then something happened. She clicked to the next slide, which showed a child's drawing of a small girl pulling a tall man's tie. I stood up to him. I told him he was being mean to my mom. And you know what? He listened. He actually listened. And then he changed. Sophia smiled at Marcus across the room. He became kind. He started caring about people. He fell in love with my mom. He became my dad. And he taught me something really important. What's that? The teacher prompted. That people can change if they want to. That it's never too late to become better. And that sometimes all it takes is one person being brave enough to tell the truth. Sophia looked directly at Marcus. My dad says I saved him. But really, we saved each other. He gave us a home and a family. We gave him a reason to be human again. The class applauded. As they did, Marcus reached over and took Carmen's hand, James babbling happily on his lap. She's right, you know, Carmen whispered. You did change. Because of you. Because of her. Marcus squeezed her hand. Because I finally had something more important than success. I had a reason to be better. After the presentation, as they walked out of the school, Sophia bouncing ahead with her friends, James on Marcus's shoulders, Carmen asked, Do you ever miss it? The old life? Not for a second, Marcus said immediately. That wasn't living. This... He gestured to their family, to the community center they'd opened, to the foundation that now helped hundreds of single parents. This is living. You showed me that. Sophia showed you that, Carmen corrected. You both did. Marcus pulled her close, careful not to jostle James. Every single day, you show me what really matters. And as they walked home together, the former billionaire CEO who'd learned to be human, the house manager who'd become his wife, the brave little girl who'd started it all, and the baby who represented their future. They were living proof that sometimes all it takes is one moment of courage to change everything. Sometimes all it takes is a child looking at a powerful man and saying, Don't talk to my mother like that. Sometimes that's enough to save two people who didn't know they needed saving. Sometimes that's where the best love stories begin.